The name, it was real simple. Our manager's old partner came up with the name. It sounded good, looked good on paper, and it's like, hey, why not? Let's register this before Madonna gets her hands on it. And and we did. And there's a certain stigma now, you know, with the band, but I mean, certainly not by anything that we've done other than go out and play music, you know. But I mean, we'd still be the same jerks if we were called something else. There was always music being played or sung around the house, and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you know, growing up in a Cuban household, you had a lot of Cuban music and a lot of Spanish music, but also my mom was hip enough to bring over a bunch of great Elvis records and Buddy Holly records and Roy Orbison and Patsy Cline and Johnny Cash and all this stuff. So there was always an interesting mix of music at the house, and that's what I grew up around it. And luckily nobody in my family ever told me to turn off the music or to turn it down or to, well, no, they did say turn it down every once in a while, but never to, you know, discourage me from listening or wanting to play music. You know, I got a guitar when I think when I was 8 years old. You know, I was given a guitar to play, and so it was always around, and it was wonderful growing up that way.
I didn't start playing guitar till I was about 15 or 16 years old. About 15. I had one around the house that was like this beat-up old acoustic that I was kind of probably the guitar that brought me to getting a real one and finally learning to play. There were toy guitars around when I was real young, and I'm told I used to imitate a lot of groups. I remember entertaining the babysitters when I was very young, living in Dallas. I remember they used to put on Monkees records, and I would pretend to play along and sort of mime to the music.
I remember playing Rock Around the Clock in my little stereo at home for the first time. You know, it was magic. It gave me focus. It gave me a vision as to what I wanted to do.
You know, I try and look back, and I remember having the little toy drum set that you had, or toy snare drum, when I was in 2nd grade. Never really got, you know, into really seriously playing them until about 7th grade, which is still pretty young, about 12 years old. And I just always seemed to have that focus. I always had a thing for the drums. It'd be probably take a couple of sessions at $60 an hour to figure out why, but yeah, it's been something since I was a kid. Wanting to be in a band, it was that too. I mean, I was into the Beatles, and seeing that whole excitement going on always made me want to be in that, and I just always gravitated towards the drums, I think.
My earliest memories are my dad singing songs at home, my mom playing the piano. There was always a lot of music in the household, and I had a desire real early, you know, when I was 5, 6 years old, to just make noise along with everybody else, basically, you know, sing songs, play guitar, whatever. And, you know, I guess I was about 6 years old when I really actually learned a few chords on the guitar and learned how to sing a few folk songs, and there was always a lot of music in the house. You know, my brother played French horn in the high school band, played piano, played guitar, and so we were always making a lot of noise in the house.
I always sang, and I always had, it's funny, people don't believe this, but I did a mean Elvis impersonation when I was about 9 years old. And by the time I was 10, I probably knew just about every Elvis song he ever recorded. I mean, everything, even all the crappy movie stuff, you know, I knew all. And so way back when, I was always singing, you know. I mean, of course, you can't really tell if it's any good. It sounded good to me, but, you know, you don't really know. And And I guess my first professional gig was when I was 12 years old. And professional meaning that I got paid. I wasn't any good, but I got paid. So that put it in the professional, category.
There's no period of time in my childhood that music didn't seem to be a part of life. So it didn't seem like I walked through a doorway into sort of a musical world. There wasn't a real introduction. It wasn't that clear. I remember music from when I was very young. And I think it's because my parents were very young parents. My mom was 19 when she had me. And so I feel like she was probably still playing her favorite rock and roll when I came into the world. And that stuff was around the house.
Youngest of 4 kids. So the music, most of the music that I was introduced to was introduced from my siblings. My older brother and older sisters always playing whatever at the time that was popular. I think my older brother introduced me to the first Beatles stuff. He's 5 years older, and I was born in '59, so when they were really in their heyday, I was still a little bit too young to appreciate it when it was happening, as much as I've come to appreciate it since then. So I remember him bringing home Beatles baseball cards and bubblegum cards. And then there was the Monkees, which we all were subject to, thanks to Don Kirshner. Thanks, Don.
There seemed to be a variety of music in my house, from the Kingston Trio to Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. I heard lots of early country music. I think my dad always really loved a lot of country music.
Probably when I was about 11 or 12, I kind of remember that I pretty much knew what I wanted to do. That is, I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be in bands. I wanted to get the chicks, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I just wanted that lifestyle. I wanted to be there. And so it was about, I got into my first band, I was about 14. That's when I first ever even picked up an electric guitar, when I was 14. And then at the ripe old age of 17, dropped out of school in 1971. Kids don't try this in the 90s. And became a working musician in 1971.
The Mavericks had been together for 6 years. Raul explains how he attributes the band's success.
It boils down to not taking what you do and yourself so seriously, you know, and having fun with it, because it is, we are lucky to be doing what we do. It boils down to what we were talking about before, you know, we're not curing cancer, we're not politicians, we're not, you know, saving the world, you know, or even want to have that responsibility, you know. We're there to entertain and have fun, and we're lucky to be musicians that are making a living, you know, at it. It's a wonderful thing. It's a great opportunity. Not everybody gets here. It's part guts, part insanity, part ability to throw caution to the wind, if you will, something like that. You know, just kind of go up with abandon. You know, it's not an easy thing to do. It's tough getting in front of people and speaking. You know, it's tough getting in front of people and singing. And part of it, I do believe it's kind of, we have an insane little quality in us to just do this this crazy thing, get up on stage and sing. You know, it could be terrifying, and it is terrifying to a lot of people. You know, and a lot of people can't do it because it is terrifying. But you know, it would be the same thing as getting in a race car. Some people are terrified of getting in a race car. Some people aren't. You know, it's what you're cut out to do.
I could wish, and do at times wish, to be a more competent player, you know. I wish that I understood music better, because it's simply, it's like it's very elusive, you know, this understanding. It's always getting away from me. So I'm kind of in pursuit of it. I don't think it'll ever change. I don't think I'll ever know enough that I go, I'm not gonna like have it appear as a vision finally and go, that's music, wow, now I know, you know. it'll always get away. So I'm kind of resigned to that. And so I'm left with, how does music make me feel? And taking my simple ability and modest talent, very modest talent, and then make it work for me. And I'm left with almost purely the passion for music.
It'll be, I mean, we'll be in a concert opening up for Mary Chapin or Alan Jackson, and he'll look back and I'll just like, what am I doing here? I mean, I've got these wooden sticks and I'm hitting these pieces of metal and these plastic things and kind of bouncing around. Sometimes if you look outward or try and, you know, take a third-party perspective at yourself, it's like, sometimes I feel like one of those monkeys, you know? I mean, it's pretty silly. That's looking at from the outside. From the inside, it's one of the most fulfilling things that I can think of that personally I can ever experience. The other one we probably can't talk about on TV, but playing drums it's rhythm to me. There's something about laying down a groove and keeping time, that it spreads to first your band and you're all keeping the same kind of rhythm together. And so that starts to mean something. And then the people out in the audience clapping or dancing all start to become a part of that. I mean, it's a pretty powerful feeling and pretty wonderful feeling.
Actually, it's come to the point now, I think, where when I'm up on stage, I want to enjoy myself. I want to have fun. You know, people will say about me, because I don't smile a lot when I'm on stage. You know, I tend to scowl a little bit, you know, and they're going, you need to smile a little more. You know, you need to have more fun. Well, hey, I am having fun. That's just how I am. You know, I really get into what I'm doing up there. And for me, that is enjoyment, you know. I like doing it like that.
We have to please ourselves first, and we have to enjoy what we do, because if we don't enjoy what we do, that'll come across. And I don't think you can fool people for a long time, you know. I think if that's the case, then you know, you might as well hang it up and retire.